Ladies and gentlemen, we are live. We've got an excellent production for you this evening. Today's podcast, we are talking about the truth about pickup artists and why they fail. At least I feel like why most of them fail, if they fail. Maybe they don't all fail, and maybe the way we define failing is different. But in my opinion, the traditional pickup artist, the traditional idea of what a pickup artist is, the way society would think of a pickup artist, and in a slippery slope that you can easily fall into trying to be a pickup artist or someone who is successful with women. All of these people and all these men in these that fit in these categories have a great chance of failing. So let me talk about that, what I mean by failing, and maybe even define pickup artists a little bit more. Back in the day, a long time ago, I read the book The Game. A lot of people have read that book. Luckily for me, I did not read that right away. That I did not read the book and then learn about this pickup artist community and then get into game, if you will. I had a different path, but I did read it. I read it later on. I did read a few books, a good handful of books, but when I learned that, look, I was trying to do this stuff on my own. Aren't we all? Whether you want to call it game or you want to call it picking up women, if you are a man and you are a heterosexual man, then you want women, and you want beautiful women, you want quality women, and you want more of them, or at least, again, better quality, right? And it can be difficult to meet women, especially as you get older and you move away from various social circles like school, where you may not have as many options. So you have to put yourself out there more, and you have to talk to women. So I was trying to do this like everyone else is. You don't need to label yourself a pickup artist to desire getting better with women and putting in effort to meet women. But there was a certain point where I did hear about this sort of pickup artist community, and more out of just curiosity, because it sounded like this secretive underground dungeon of nerds trying to plot and get revenge on the world and meet women. That whole story fascinated me, the idea of that. So less to learn skills, more just out of entertainment and curiosity, I did a little bit of research on the pickup community, but it didn't lead me to reading The Game. It actually led me to me thinking, well, hey, maybe there's something that you can learn. And so I did read a few books that got into the actual technicalities of the skill set, which The Game, the book, doesn't really. It touches on some different ideas, but it's more of a story about the community as it is, less a handbook or a manual on successful women. So that was kind of my path, and then I obviously learned about The Game through that. I heard about it, the book, and I just kind of, again, out of curiosity, wanted to learn more. Picked up the audiobook version by Neil Strauss, and man, what a ride. That was, especially back in the day when I had less knowledge about the community. It really was fascinating, and I really enjoyed reading that book, listening to that book. And so when I talk about pickup artists, that's kind of who I'm referring to. I feel like is that initial community, but more so the attitude or the spirit behind that community, which I could be wrong, but from what I observed was sort of the spirit of revenge of the nerds. Let's study human psychology, female psychology, and figure out tricks to manipulate, for a lack of a better word, women into dating these nerds, sleeping with these nerds. And even though it's there's certainly a lot of negative connotation around it. It was still really interesting to me because of the evilness of it, although I don't believe it is necessarily evil at all. But there is that sort of sinister, dark side to it, this revenge story. So I found it very interesting. And now I know that the intentions of a lot of these people, if not all of these people that are maybe have social weaknesses and work on those, is good intentions, and it's not at all evil or sinister or anything like that. I still feel like it's hard to avoid that sort of spirit of, hey, I got rejected in high school by all these girls. I'm gonna get revenge and learn these different skills and learn psychology so I can get back and I can get the women that I want, right? I do think that spirit is still there to a degree. And again, it's not necessarily bad, that you might need that to give you the energy to, to motivate yourself to take action. So it could be a very positive thing. And I also think that a lot of the literature is actually, there's some misconceptions about it. I think some of it is not perceived properly. It's taken not only out of context, but it's actually not read properly. So let's get into some of those examples. Negging. If you read any of the old school pickup literature, and again, it's really not even old. It's 10, 15, 20 years old. But it's old for that community. They're talking about negging. So negging starts with the idea that a beautiful woman has more value or more perceived value than you. You have less value or perceived value than her. So then you need to knock her down to then get you guys on the same playing field to where now you have a chance of building a relationship with her. And negging, again, it depends on how you think about it, how it's perceived, but could be a tool to then help you raise your perceived value, lower her perceived value, right? Now, things like that, again, create this idea of I'm lower value, she's higher value, I'm gonna learn tricks and different various tactics to raise myself above her to then create attraction and hopefully a relationship. And that spirit I see carries on and bleeds into other areas of the pickup skill set. What this assumes, it assumes two things. First, it assumes, again, that you are of lesser value, which in my opinion is bad. That is a very bad mindset to have. And two, it assumes that you are not, that the process of attraction and relationship building with a beautiful woman is not a win-win situation. That you are taking something from her. That you are getting something more than she is. So those two, coming at the skill set from that perspective, which I believe is baked into, whether it was intended or not, and whether it was actually a lot of the original content was written that way or not, I do believe that a lot of people perceive it that way. And when I say people, I'm not talking about just the masses who may hear about the pickup artist community. I'm talking to the actual practitioners. I'm talking about the actual men that are out there trying to use this stuff. It's, I found this secret little black book in the secret little dungeon, and it's got these little tricks, and I'm going to use these tricks to move myself ahead, raise myself above this girl, and that will allow me to get a woman of higher value than me. And again, whether or not that was intended with a lot of the content that I've read and consumed has that spirit in some of it. So when I think of a pickup artist, I think of someone who is operating from that position and who is not who is at least leading with that. It might not be the only component of that person's constitution, if you will, but it is certainly a place that they're leading from, and as baked into the sort of sentiment from which that they're proceeding forward with the skill set. So let's talk about the problems with that, and then let's talk about the solution, or the way that I think that you should think about meeting women, and which is a much more, in my opinion, productive and healthy way. So first, the problems and how it relates to, again, failure. So the problems are, like I said, you're assuming that you're of lesser value than she is. If you believe that you are of less value than she is, then no matter what you do to try to trick this girl to sleep with you, that relationship is either not going to last, or you are not going to feel good in that relationship. And if you say, well, I don't want relationships, I just want to bang a bunch of hot girls. Okay, well, either you have no soul, and in which case that's fine. If you do have a soul, you probably will not want to just bang girls for the rest of your life. At some point, you will want to have a meaningful, fulfilling relationship, even if it's only for a few months. You know, and maybe that's what you do. Maybe you go a few months, you go another few months, but there's still, you know, there's some type of relationship where you can trust this person and you guys care about each other. You're going to want that at some point, unless you are just a complete psycho. And there's nothing wrong with sleeping with beautiful women and keeping it simple and sexual. I don't have anything issues with that, assuming the girl wants that as well. Nothing wrong with that, but I just highly doubt anyone would just only want that always forever. So if you're going to be spending any time with them, then if you think of her as higher value than you are the whole time, then you're going to always feel like she has the upper hand. You're always going to feel like you don't have control over the relationship, and you're always going to feel like less of a man. You're just not going to feel good. Okay? It also presupposes that you do not have the ability to increase your value, which is going to hurt your chances and opportunities with additional women, future women. It will decrease your ability to attract higher quality women, and it will result in you having a shittier life. Happiness is a multi-step and multi-faceted formula. There's multiple components, multiple pieces that need to be added up for you to have happiness. One of those pieces, though, for most people that I've met, maybe not all of them, certainly men that want to do well with women, pretty much every single one I've ever met, is, along with other factors and variables, is happier when they are growing. So if you believe that you aren't able to significantly increase your value to a woman, then you are not going to put in the work to increase your value, and you're not going to grow, and you're not going to be as happy, and you're going to be less attractive. So your success with women long term will be diminished significantly. So that is a very big factor that needs to be really thought about. That's a huge hole in the mindset of she's higher, I'm lower, I need to lower her. Okay? It also speaks volumes about your self-esteem and your self-confidence. Even if you truly don't offer as much value as these women, then even if you don't, your perception of your own value may be lower than it actually is. And that in and of itself lowers your value, right? What is confidence? Confidence isn't tangible. Confidence is nothing. Confidence is invisible. Confidence is a feeling. It's a sense that you have of yourself, right? So this is something that you do not go out and acquire at a store. This is something that you build. This is something that you feel. So for you to assume that you are of lower value, which it might be true, but if it's massively, you feel it's massively lower and you are working on improving yourself, then odds are you have some other self-belief, self-confidence, self-esteem issues. Okay? So that's one. And if that is true, then again, going back to things you can control, then you need to start working on that. And part of that will come by truly actually increasing your value, not just your perceived value, increasing your value. Okay? Big problem there. The second problem is the win-win, the lack of the win-win mindset, the win-win scenario. If you think that you are taking something, then your success is going to be dramatically lower. And again, that mindset is probably going to carry over into other areas of your life. Career, friendships, the way you deal with your family. If you end up having your own family, children, it's going to bleed into all these other areas of your life, and your life will be worse. The successful life, the happy life, that comes from, in part, by approaching situations and approaching relationships and potential relationships with a win-win mindset. I am going to go to this girl. I look at this girl. She looks like she could add value to me. She's physically attractive. I want to have sex with her. Also, she seems like she might be a nice person, which I would enjoy being around. She also seems like she might be trustworthy, which would be great to have a companion or another person in my inner circle that I know I could count on. She seems like she has a good social circle. That could mean fun activities that we can do, fun social activities that we can do together. She seems like she knows a lot about health and nutrition. That would be great because now it will help me stay on track with my diet and my own health. And also she might have some information that's beneficial to me and could help me live a happier, healthier life, right? So you're assessing whether you're doing it consciously or you're doing it through sort of this like micro analysis when you see her. You are sort of assessing her value, and with a higher value that she has, a perceived value, before you really get to know her, as you're getting to know her, you will become more attracted to her. But that needs to be balanced with you saying to yourself, hey, these are all the great things about me. This is all the value that I'm going to add to her. It could be some of the stereotypical things, like maybe you're rich and you can use that money to go on fun trips, right? So the whole money doesn't help you get girls. Well, no, not the money, and not if you're rich and you act like a douchebag and you just talk about your money. But if you're a fun, cool, nice person who's a man and who can protect her and take care of her, and you use that money as a resource for you guys to have a better life, then and that creates more attraction from her, what's wrong with that? There's nothing wrong with that, and that certainly can help. But what else? There's so many other things. There's so many other things that are not, financially related, for example, where you can add value. Again, going back to the traditional ones. Are you really good looking? That could help slightly, right? But what about all the other things that you can control, unlike looks, where there's some control there, but there's not 100% control. Things like being rich, where yes, you can control, but at the end of the day, maybe you only have a certain earning capacity after you've put in your full effort. What are some things that you can really control? Well, you can be healthy. You can be in good shape and have good energy, so that when you're talking to her, that energy comes across. You can do things to structure your life, to be grateful for things, to have, to create a lifestyle that is happy, so you are happy, so when you talk to her, that energy passes over. You can work on your social skills, so you're less awkward and you're more comfortable, so that when you talk to her, it's less awkward and less uncomfortable for her. You can build relationships outside of women so that you have more relationship resources and assets when you talk to her if she needs help with something, right? So maybe you know somebody that owns it could even be something really like simple, like you have a good mechanic. And you guys get into a conversation, she says that she's having issues with her car and she can't trust anyone. And because you have done a good job of researching mechanics in the area, you have a great mechanic for her. That is value. So that's like value in the sense of a certain amount of benefit that you can get from something. But what about values, your personal values? That, if you have strong personal values, in and of itself offers value. So if you value honesty and trust, that's something that you can give her. She could meet a rich, good-looking, funny, smart guy, but if he's not trustworthy, what good is that if she can't trust him? Can she trust you? If she can, that's value. So there's all these different things that you can do, and there's tons of things that you can do. Even your looks, right? There's tons of things you can do to improve your looks. There's tons of things that you can do. So working on what you can work on, controlling what you can control, and then when you approach that girl, and when you're just thinking about meeting people and meeting women in general, you think about, hey, she adds value, I add value, there's things where I can add more value. I'm not there yet. I'm working on those things. I'm working on my social skills. I'm working on my social network. I'm working on producing more income so I can have the resources to take her out to nice places so we can go on fun trips. All right? All that builds up your character and it builds up your self-worth, your self-confidence, which again adds more value. There's things that you can do. There's activities. There's behaviors that you can do. There's attitudes that you can have that add value. Just having a good attitude adds value. Right? Going into a bar or a nightclub and not thinking about what can I take from the situation. Can I find a girl and get her and trick her to get her to come home with me so I get sex with her? Instead of that, maybe it's thinking about the other people there. Why do the people go out? Well, people go out because they want to have fun. A lot of these people have been stressed out all week with work and all these various problems, and this is a way for them to loosen up and to kind of escape day-to-day life, listen to some music, maybe meet some new people, maybe have some little adventures. They want to come out and they want to have fun. Okay, if that's what they want, then why don't I go and see if I can try to have them have a little more fun. So maybe you can do things to be more fun. Maybe you can do things to be more funny. Maybe you can simply offer your willingness to be vulnerable by going up to a stranger, saying hello, and sacrificing yourself to them and to the situation in such a way that you are okay with potentially looking stupid or feeling stupid or saying something that you feel stupid about, because you are willing to sacrifice that potentially so that they can have a good time, because they want to meet interesting people and they want to have good stories. So maybe you go up, and even if you say something stupid, which you probably won't, because people are way nicer than you think, and unless you're an asshole, even beautiful women usually aren't rude to you if you can approach them in a normal, kind of non-creepy way. And I have plenty of resources that can help with that. What's one of the one or two things you can say to somebody? I actually have, I'll link to it if you watch this on YouTube. I'll link down below in the description there a link to a free ebook that we put together. That's it just takes a short period of time to go through, and it gets you started right away with things that have been tested over and over again to be effective. with women. You can use some of that stuff. Okay. Working on these things, right? Working on these things and being of value to the venue, to the environment that you're in. So again, going back to, let's say it's a bar or nightclub. You go out, you say, I'm going to go and just be nice and say hi to anybody who seems like they want to maybe talk to somebody. So anybody that seems at all approachable, not two girls huddled up in a corner, but maybe a couple girls that are kind of standing by the bar and they're looking around, they're talking to each other, and they seem like they want to talk to somebody. Even mixed groups where there's a guy and a girl. Maybe even you see a boyfriend and a girlfriend and you just, nicely say hello to them. Maybe you just take your cup, your glass, and you cheer someone. Maybe you give someone a high five. Maybe you give somebody a smile. I've had girls, I walk by them in a bar, and sometimes I'm not sure. It looks like they might be with a boyfriend. There's maybe a big group of other guys there. It doesn't seem worth it to really, be that aggressive. And so I simply say one word, hello, with a smile to the girl. And I've had that girl look at me and go, hello, in a nice smile away. And then I see, a minute from them that she actually is with a boyfriend. They're hugging. She is with the boyfriend. But I wasn't creepy. I wasn't trying to hit on her when I wasn't sure. I simply said hello. Why is she then nicely, happily saying hello back? Because women, human beings, most of them are not bad people. They are not trying to make you feel bad or hurt you. If you're nice to them, they'll be nice to you. Okay? So when I said hello to that girl in that example, I was purely I saw her. She was very, very, very attractive, but she just seemed like a nice girl. I could just, from her eyes, the way she looked, she just seemed like a nice girl. So I just, without thinking I'm going to try to take anything from her or get anything from her, I'm just going to say hello just to be nice. And I feel good. Maybe that'll make her feel good. Instead of all these other creepy guys that might be trying to grab her ass or trying to very directly hit on her or maybe rubbing up against her or might be drunk and slurring their words talking to her. Just hello, nice hello. And then she said hello back. That kind of stuff, right? Coming at it from that place of, let's just make people feel good. Let's just make them have a good time. Okay? That's creating a win-win situation. It's, I'm going to add value. I'm not going to do it only to get something in return. If I don't get anything in return, I'm okay with not getting anything in return. And if I do enough of that, then I'll probably meet someone where I have a connection with, and then I can move that forward. And now I get to take something, and she gets to take something from me, more than just a hello. Right? I give her a hug, she gives me a hug. It feels good for me when I hug her, it feels good when she hugs me. I kiss her. Feels good for me, feels good for her. Win-win. I meet her friends, now I have a bigger social circle. She meets my friend, now she has a bigger social circle. We both now have a bigger social circle combined. She introduces me to someone that cuts hair well. I introduce her to the mechanic. 2 new people in town that we know that can help us. Win-win. I want to spend more time with her and get to know her better. And I know that if I just leave too early on in the interaction with her and just get her phone number, that might easily forget about me. So I want to solidify the interaction more, and I want to see her again. I now lead us out of that venue, and I bring her home. And maybe it's not appropriate, or it doesn't make sense, or we don't want to spend the night together just yet, but I just take an Uber. I pay for the Uber. I drive the Uber. We go to her house. I walk her to her door, or I open the door for her, let her out, say goodnight, make sure she gets home safely. Now she's going to remember me better. She solidifies the interaction. The likelihood of us now being able to hang out again is much greater. And what does she get out of it? She gets to meet a nice, normal guy who made sure that she got home safely instead of being with some creep or whatever the situation is, right? So she benefits from that, you benefit from that. And then if you did have a good connection and you really are a good guy with good values, etc., then there's the added benefit to her that she doesn't know about yet, or she doesn't care about quite as much yet, which is that she could potentially now date you. She's not going to care that much because if she's a very attractive girl, she's probably has lots of different options with guys. She doesn't know which ones are good, which ones are bad, but you know that you're good, and you're going to give her an opportunity to be with you by spending more time with her. So now you're setting up future benefit and future value for her as well. All right, so win-win. And then that mindset, if you can get used to that mindset, both of those things, A, I can control my value, I'm going to increase my value. B, I'm going to have a good mindset. I'm going to look for win-wins. Both those can carry over to all the other areas of your life, right? Look at career, business, for example. Instead of, I'm going to, let's say you're in sales. Instead of, well, the customer has the prospect has the money and I have the product, and if he buys my product, I get the money. And my product is worth way less than the money he's giving me, so I win. Instead of that, and instead of I'm not as good, my product's not as good, it's okay, well, if the product isn't as good or it's not the worth the money that you're going to get in exchange for it, let's make the product better. Let's make the product sell itself. Let's go work for another, if you're an employee, let's go work for a company that sells something that is worth the money. Let's improve this. Let's increase the value so that when I get the value back of the money, that those are at least even. And if anything, how would I feel great about giving more than I got? This product's worth more than the money that you're going to give me, and I'm okay with that. And then win-win, it just leads right into win-win, which is not I win, I get the money, you lose because I just sold you some shit. How about you have a problem, my product or service helps you solve that problem. What's that worth to you? $100? Okay, $100. $1,000? Okay. $10,000? Okay. $100,000? Okay. I'm going to solve that problem. You give me the cash. We both win. And we're going to treat each other with respect. You can trust me. Now you have another contact in life. We know each other. I'll help you out in the future. You can help me out in the future if there's an opportunity to do that. You can trust me. If you see me around, we can be friends. Whatever it is. Win-win. And if you can do that with every area of your life, everything can start to move now into a positive momentum, and you start working more efficiently through life because you're going to start to get this sort of exponential and this lagging but eventual long-term benefit of you putting positive energy out, creating win-win scenarios. Those can come into benefit you, years into the future when in ways that you wouldn't even realize. Because maybe you treated somebody well, they remember that, they know somebody that you need to know 5 years from now, they tell that person about you, you never know. You never know what can happen. So that's, those are the problems. Those are the two problems, and those are that's the way to look at it. The problems are, you're looking at what can I take, you're looking at I'm lower value, I need to bring her down, and the solution is you are not lower value. If you are lower value, increase your value and think of ways that you can help add value. And then it's not not taking something from her. It's the mindset of let's figure out how to create a win-win. And by the way, sometimes it's just she just has a fun time. So she could be a 10 and you maybe think of yourself as a 6 or a 7 or whatever, and I'm just using this as I don't think it's healthy to be giving yourself a number. I do not recommend doing that, but just because I know everyone understands what that means. That as an example, well, what if she's having a shitty night and you crack some jokes, you get her laughing, she has fun, you've got some cool friends. Doesn't matter if she's a 10 and you're a 6. because her experience is a 10. The fun she's having is a 10. So she's having a 10 experience. She's having a great night. Even if there's better, quote unquote, guys out there that she could be with, in that moment, in that time period that she's with you, she's having a great time. That might be all you need to be able to convert that into whatever you're looking to do. Date, girlfriend, whatever. So you don't need to overthink the whole value thing. And again, if you do feel like you are of less value, remember that value is not just who you are, but it can be the way you make her feel. All right? So I hope this helped. I just got right down to it today. Really wanted to touch on this because I see it as sort of like an attitude disease. And when I look at people that followed that initial pickup artist spirit and attitude, I don't see them succeeding. I see them getting some success, sleeping with some women, and then I see them failing long term, not only with women, but in life. So to me, that's the pickup artist trap. That's why pickup artists fail. Hopefully I gave you some tips on how you can move that forward and succeed. I have a whole, we have one of our products goes into deep into the psychology of this. If you're interested in that, let me know. But one of the best places to start is if you aren't taking action and you aren't talking to girls and meeting girls, then all this stuff doesn't even matter, right? Yes, it helps to come from that place, it comes from that attitude, but you need to go and you need to really be talking to enough girls where you can feel what I'm saying and check yourself. How do I feel? Do I feel like she's just better than me and I'm trying to trick her? Or I'm just trying to get away with something? Or did I feel like, wait a minute, she was cool, she was nice, I'm cool, I'm nice, we had a good connection, we should be able to move this forward. Why isn't this moving forward? That's the place you should be coming from. Or maybe you are moving it forward, and that's great. So if you need help with that, confidencedating.com, confidencedating.com, or click the link below and I'll send you the #1 attraction pickup line. It's a little ebook. I know it sounds a little cheesy, a little stupid. Pickup lines are, traditional pickup lines are stupid, right? But there is something that I can give you that we came up with, that we've tested, that can really help you, give you something to say, to get you through that initial learning curve. So go check that out. All right, folks, that's it for me. If you have any questions, comments, let me know. And have a beautiful evening.